Welcome to Entrepreneurial Entrails for some short stories on the guts and glories of being an entrepreneur. Hello and welcome to Entrepreneurial Entrails. My name is Elizabeth Plouffe and I am the host of Entrepreneurial Entrails. And Entrepreneurial Entrails, well, you know what, I don't know if I've explained, it may have been a while ago, but entrails means guts, and I'm sure most of you know that. So it's just, this is about the guts and glories of being an entrepreneur and things that I know for my business and things that I want to share with you. And I got some inspiration the other day that I wanted to share, and it didn't come out exactly the way I had, probably the person who wrote the article had anticipated, but anyway, my cousin shared an article on Facebook, which is kind of ironic, and you'll understand once I get into the beef of the conversation today. And the title is "Quit Social Media, Your Career May Depend on It," and it was written by Cal Newport under the title of Preoccupations, and this is for the New York Times, and it was written on November 19th. And initially I thought it was going to be a kind of a slam book against social media. But you know what? To be honest with you, he actually made some valid points. He made some really valid points about how social media can negatively impact your career. And I took it a step further. But here's one of the paragraphs that I find really interesting. And it's down towards the bottom here. If you want to have a look at this article, it's interesting. So perhaps more important, however, than my specific objections to the idea that social media is a harmless lift to your career is my general unease with the mindset this belief fosters. A dedication to cultivating your social media brand is a fundamentally passive approach to professional advancement. It diverts your time and attention away from producing work that matters and toward convincing the world that you matter. The latter activity is seductive, especially for many members of my generation who were raised on this message, but it can be disastrously counterproductive. And so I actually agreed with some of this article, because I think for the most part there are a lot of careers who don't need social media. You know, it's become more an accepted norm of communication and such, which I understand. But as far as advancing your career, I mean, if you're a neurophysicist or actually, I won't even go that high. There's a ton of careers out there that do not require a social media presence to do anything to advance. And this was also substantiated by a conversation that I had at a networking event where this younger gentleman was job searching. And when I started talking to him about what he was actually doing, it was not a very organized plan. I got introduced to him by a friend of mine, and I think my friend knew what I was doing, because I took this young lad under my wing and sort of pointed out the folly of some of his ways. One of the things he was doing, which was very positive, which he was engaging on LinkedIn, or at least I thought he was. He said he was there. The challenge was he wasn't engaging for the role that he wanted. He was engaging for the role that he had, but in an industry that he wanted to move out of. And the other thing that he was doing that I found quite interesting was he was reading articles, but he wasn't liking them, he wasn't commenting on them, he wasn't demonstrating in any way through that engagement that he was either learning about the industry or was becoming a subject matter expert or was a subject matter expert in his previous industry. So his attempts at using LinkedIn as a serious job searching tool were admirable, but misguided and unstrategized. So he and I had a little chitty chat, and hopefully he's doing well. I haven't seen him at another networking event, so hopefully he's busy. But this article, anyway, this article written in the New York Times, got me thinking about when businesses shouldn't use social media. And there's a ton of experts and all kinds of people that will tell you that every single business needs social media, and I would disagree, especially if it's used badly. And if I were to meet with somebody and, had to look at their business and had to look at what they were trying to do, I'd be that honest with them. If social media isn't the way to go, I'd go through a little list to say, you know what? There's other ways we can, communicate and create an online presence for you if you need it. But perhaps some of the more traditional tools are better suited to their target audience. And that's where we're going to sort of start, because if your business, if the target audience for your business is not engaging through social media, then why are you wasting your time? You know, if you're putting your voice out there, but there's nobody to listen to it, it's sort of like that whole tree falls in the woods situation. So it's really important to take a look at your industry and take a look at your target audience and try and find out exactly where they are. And there's a variety of ways to do that. That's another podcast. But here's some of the things that came to my mind when I meet with clients and we start talking about their, they've swallowed the Kool-Aid and have decided that social media is the only way to go for their business. And I think I've said it before, but I'll say it again. If you have never included marketing and communications as part of your business plan, and you are now looking at social media to save your business as a cheap and easy way to get in front of an audience, please don't waste your time. It will not save your business. If you're that far in the hole, social media is not the save that you need. Go invest in a business coach, go invest in a business consultant, do your research on them as well, because there's some shysters out there, but there are also some amazing ones. But please don't look at social media and decide that after ignoring the conversation with your potential audience for years and years that this is going to be the fix, because from me to you, bud, not going to happen. So here's some of the things. If you have no time for social media and you've decided that you want to manage it on your own, you're in for a hard road. Social media is time consuming, and to do it effectively requires strategy and planning and a schedule, preferably. It also requires time and energy to dedicate to some real-time conversation online. That's another podcast as well. You can schedule stuff, don't get me wrong, but if that's all you're doing, it becomes pretty apparent that that's all you're doing, and people are going to tune out and they're not going to see which information that you're putting out there. And on top of that, if you don't have the time to invest and all you're doing is throwing marketing out there, which I have unfollowed many people on Twitter for that, then, I don't want to hear what you have to say in the first place. So you've wasted a lot of time, and you're in business for a reason. Hopefully you're good at your business, and that's what you should honestly stick to. The learning curve can be quite steep for social media to do it effectively. And if you charge, just for, poops and giggles, if you're a lawyer, for example, and you charge $300 an hour, is it worth your time as a $300 an hour earner to waste thousands of dollars a week or hundreds of dollars a day learning about social media versus paying somebody $60 an hour who knows what they're doing to do it for you? So no time. Part of that is if you are engaging in social media, depending on the platform, and you put content up that provokes conversation and you're not there to have that conversation, you look disengaged, and people are, they're going to start judging your company, unfortunately. It does go that way now. So leaving comments unresponded to, not engaging with your audience because you don't have the time, your business should not be on social media. If you have no plan, and you're just going at it haphazard, please don't do that. One of the worst things that you can do for your business, you do need to have some kind of strategy around it. That's where paying for an hour or two of somebody's time, if you are determined to do it on your own, to at least get a strategy together so that, 3 months at a crack, you kind of know where you're at. Spend the money. I charge $60 an hour. So for 3 hours of my time, $180. If you're charging more than that per hour, or if you look at your ROI for the investment and the time, it's worth it. Myself or whoever works for you, meaning personality fit or what have you, spend the time to get a good strategy. If you're wasting time learning about that and how to put it together and all the rest of it, you're sort of behind the 8 ball again. The other thing that can happen without a plan is that content can get inadvertently reused quite frequently. And people do pay attention, and if they notice that you're recycling the same 5 or 10 pieces through your social media channels, they will catch on, and they are going to start to wonder if that's all you've got to offer. So one of the biggest reasons I'm talking about this is that, if you're overwhelmed and your communications is sucking and you're flailing and you're panicking and you're doing this, it can end up hurting your business. The influence of social media nowadays is such that when somebody fails disastrously online, it can definitely negatively impact their business, and the PITA factor for you to have to fix that is such that, you just shouldn't have started in the first place. So I sound very negative, but this is actually to save people time and energy. The other thing is, as far as strategy goes, if it's a bad mix of personal and professional, and I'm a huge believer in injecting your personality into your business communications, because I think that adds authenticity and relatability to your target audience within reason, depending on what your business is. But if it's a bad mix of personal and business, and, the number of disasters I've seen online is kind of frightening. You can't do that. It's just, I can't even come up with enough bad examples to tell you how much not to do that. Injecting your personality and injecting your personal life are two different things. Unless your brand is your personal life, and then that's a different, I follow somebody on Instagram called Fathers of Daughters, and his whole brand is him being at home with his 4 kids. Okay, well then you make that happen that way. But if you're selling widgets and you are showing pictures of you and your buddies getting, drunk at a kegger or what have you, and I recognize that drunk at a kegger is more of a college reference, but I'm noticing more and more these days that type of behavior continues well into 30s and 40s for some people. And entrepreneurship is actually happening younger and younger. So it is really important that you understand the difference between injecting personality and personal life into your social media. If you're not spending the time, as I said in the beginning, to discover where your audience is online, and you're throwing all of this content out there, you're wasting your time and your money. And you need to find out where that audience is. And it is worth the money to pay a professional to help you to find it and determine if this is actually the right solution for you for your communications. And that's one of the biggest things I think people... the problem with communications plans for businesses is that they can be really overwhelming, and it can be a situation where it just looks like it sucks so much that you don't know where to begin, and you either sort of begin like a limp biscuit and think that you're doing the right thing because that's all that you can manage, and that's totally cool. I get it. As an entrepreneur, I get being overwhelmed, and I get how much time that this can take, and you can be hearing from people how, social media is a waste of time and what have you. And sometimes it can. I'll be the first one to say, if I'm having a bad day, it's proven that going to Facebook is sort of a serotonin hit so that you feel better about yourself. And if you're getting sucked into that hole, you're right. It absolutely is a time suck. But if you're spending strategic amount of time and you're being careful about who you follow and who you engage with, it can have the social proof that we talk about on the Sneaky Shit podcast to provide your business with a little bit of extra legitimacy. So when should your business not use social media, just to sum it up, is when you actually don't have time, and you are determined to do it yourself, or you don't have the budget to pay somebody to do it for you. If you have no plan and you're trying to do it yourself, but you're sort of going at it haphazardly, that's going to end up having some negative impact for you. If you are injecting a bad mix of personal versus personality into your business accounts, not positive. Highly, highly don't recommend that. And if you're not speaking to where your audience is, then your business should not be on social media. Or if you don't know where your audience is online, wait and find out first before you flail around and, dead trout on the bank, if you will. So there's lots to learn. There's lots of amazing articles. I mean, New York Times, I trust them. There's another great article that I was reading from the Online Marketing Institute. It was put out May 12, 2015, called 7 Reasons Why You Should Not Use Social Media for Business by Kevin Popovic. And there's some fantastic tips in this. And I'm just trying to go through here. So some of the same things as what I said. Your audience isn't there. And social media doesn't work for every business. Don't try and make it fit if it's not good for you. You don't get it. And I'm going to read this out to you because this is really important, and it's, again, something that I just said. I see business after business create a profile or a page, upload a logo and some pictures, then plan to figure out what they're going to do with social media. Then nothing. While it sits idly and acts as a giant billboard telling people you don't know how to use social media for business and you don't have a plan. Despite all the definitions and metaphors, some people just don't get social media, and that's okay. Just don't put them in charge of the decision making or execution. So if you have a team, if you're lucky enough to have a team, then, give somebody the ball to run with it so that the social media is happening. And there's also this misnomer that social media is free, and up to a point the tools themselves are, but you have to factor in the amount of time that you're putting into it. And if you don't know what you're doing, it can be a lot. So you could be losing money. And I mean, their last point here is shit happens, which is true. There's been, Trump's a prime example of somebody that should have their Twitter account taken away from them. Rob Ford was another one, if we just want to go north and south of the border. And if you're one of those people, again, that sort of fails to understand the difference between injecting personality and personal life into your social media, back away from the send button. It's not good for you. So I would love to hear, if you have any questions about social media, anything that you're looking to learn about, if you're trying to decide if social media is a good idea for your business. There's absolutely ways to start small, or there's, times you shouldn't start at all. I would love to hear from you, and any questions that you might have, you can visit me at mcvcommunications.ca, because I'm a Canadian girl and we like the CA. I'm on Twitter at mcvplouf, and Instagram at ncvplouf. I'm all over the place. So, like any person, I'm growing my audience too. But I'm growing it slowly and steadily and with quality. Rather than that whole like for follow thing, I want people to engage with the content that I provide because it's quality for them. And hopefully that's what you're doing for your social media as well. So just know that you have the guts and glory to make your own story. And what's going to be happening this week? So this week will be the next installment of the Sneaky Ship podcast, which is a whole lot of fun. I'm also going to be starting an Autism Job Club podcast shortly to help those in the autism community help find a job and get connected to resources. And as always, entrepreneurial entrails sneaks up now and again. I hope you're having a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.